First time doing this live stream. So where was I? So we're gonna cover the price action of BTC and Ether. We're gonna cover market sentiment, a little bit of the Korea FUD, and we're gonna cover some of the calls and signals, the recent ones, and at the end I'm gonna take TA requests and only TA requests from the Discord channel. So you guys in Discord, go ahead and post. When I start asking for them, podcast chatter is gonna be the channel we're looking to post your requests in. So we'll get them from there. Yeah, I'm looking at Zeke right now. This is courtesy of Cypher. Him and I were talking about it. It's got this real bullish pennant on Zeke before you get started. Um, Zeke's looking really good. It's about to break out. I'm in here. We got in yesterday on one of the dips. So we got a real bullish pennant on Zeke. Before we go out shopping, let me cover BTC and some of its price action and what has happened in these situations in the past. Like what happened during the China FUD, what happened every time BTC goes on one of those steep dips. So let's go to the BTC US dollar chart. Get rid of some of these indicators. So ever since we had this pullback off the all-time high, we got wicked off that 61.8. BTC tested the 50% a few times, and it's looking, with the Korea FUD, we had, thanks Sneaker Boy, we had quite a bit of like uncertainty. Is Korea really banning crypto? Is this thing really gonna happen? What can we expect? But we still see BTC pulling back to higher lows, and we still have our higher highs. It's looking like a bullish channel. The one problem with B is if it ends up being a rising wedge, and we don't want to see that. But it's too soon to even go there. And in my perspective, BTC is still bullish. I would consider it not very bullish if it was to actually dip below the 61.8. So until we break this 11K mark and go downwards, then we can say, okay, BTC is in a bear cycle. But for now, we still have these higher lows, these higher highs, especially after the Korea FUD. We didn't dip back down to that 61.8. We dipped back to 61.8 on that last retracement, but in the long-term scope of things, we're still bullish. There's somewhat, I wouldn't call this a head and shoulders, but it was a little worrisome. But in the long-term scope, if we go back to the China FUD era, um, BTC, I believe this was China FUD, yep, pulled back down to 2,900. We were in that tight range for quite some time. Between the last all-time high till it reached that level again, it took about 50 or so days for BTC to do that. With 37 days, and to break that high, it took 40 days to break that high. So we're only at like day 23, day 24. So this is normal. This is a normal corrective phase in BTC, what we are witnessing right now. These corrections are healthy. I actually had BTC up the other day, and I compared it to NASDAQ, and NASDAQ hasn't had a 50% retracement since 2016, yet BTC has a 50% retracement every couple of months. So these pullbacks that we're seeing, this dip is healthy. To see BTC go from 20K to 30K without a pullback, that's when it gets real sketchy. So I'm still bullish on BTC, especially in the long run. One thing I wanted to highlight is even during China FUD, whenever we go through these FUD eras, we see BTC, or we see all the alts trading in these real narrow constricted channels where it's like 5% up, 5% down for days, or maybe a week and a half or so. But this time it's actually looking a lot better because we're starting to see some alts make these breakouts, bust out of that range, and one of those is one of our medium swing plays, which is STRAT. I'm gonna go right into that. STRAT actually dipped down to a low with the FUD, but then from the bottom of the abyss, it's already up some 13%. So seeing that is really healthy, especially on a sensitive token like STRAT. STRAT likes to take massive dips with BTC. It's the last one to recover, and it's recovering the fastest. So That's good. I'm gonna cover Ether. Ether has been going on a run. It's been really bullish ever since the CME futures came out. Um, and it's making these all-time highs, these minor pullbacks, minor retracements to the next all-time high. And as for Ether, I don't think it's done. I don't think it's done by any means. Cypher and I were discussing that CME's launching Ether futures as well. So we can expect Ether to have this massive run when these futures come out. And then for a pullback. So if you guys have Ether, hang on your Ether. If we see a massive run up for a CME futures on Ether, if they're traded, if they're settled in Ether, go ahead, we'll sell the top and we'll buy the retracement. I'm going to cover some of the signals that we've recently had. I'm going to start off with ARC. Let me go ahead and pull up the signal price. I signaled ARC at 5,200. We're at 64.19 today. So we're still in the gains. It had been really sensitive to BTC's price movements. We see this massive dip. Even, BTC goes up, ARC goes down. If BTC goes down, ARC goes down. But then we had this nice breakout. If you guys are still in ARC, keep on holding. If you want to tailor a stop loss for further, for like a steeper drop, 57K should be a nice stop loss for ARC to keep you in the profits, and you can pick it up later from the bottom. Real quickly, guys, how is the quality of the YouTube feed? Guys, okay, sneakers voice typing. Is that really good? And I don't know what greasy means. Good. Okay. Awesome. I'm on Wi-Fi. Yes. So next up, I'm gonna cover Lumen. That's been one of our longs. We had thought that it was gone bearish, but it's actually been breaking out. I happened to add during the Lumen dip, and now it's actually back in a breakout mode. So for all the Lumen longs, you guys trying to capitalize on FairX and the IBM move, that's really smart. Hang on your Lumens, treat it as a long. And it seems to really follow XRP. Ripple went down and then it just surged back up. It's making some gains. So Lumen's gonna follow Ripple. They've had a history of following one another. Speaking of XRP, I'm gonna cover it on a USD chart and then a BTC chart. So on Ripple, I saw somewhat of a head and shoulders a few days ago, and it's right here. I'm gonna try to draw it real quick. It's a little bit skewed on a 1 hour. Put on a 30. And it's really obvious. It's not classic, but it did behave somewhat bearishly afterwards. And we're still not back at that same high. So let's go into my patterns, head and shoulders. All right, so you got this bearish formation at the top. It broke down to the bottom, same distance to the head. Tried to trace back up to the neckline and broke back down. And then it's actually now forming somewhat of a bullish pennant. It's trying to break upwards again. For you guys that are long in XRP, picking it back up at $2. If you truly believe in Ripple and what they stand for, even though it's not really congruent with what crypto is and the whole decentralized um, and distributed ledger and all that fundamentally doesn't quite agree with the rest of what crypto stands for. If you're long on XRP, this is a good time to somewhat buy back in at $2 and ride it back up. I'm gonna cover BAT. You started signaling and putting out buy racks on BAT at the 26 range. Currently today we are at the 53 range, 53.92. Um, and BAT is looking bullish. Here we see another somewhat of a pennant developing, and BAT wants to break up again. So let's go ahead and keep holding BAT. It is it it's definitely got momentum on its side right now. It's got listed on new exchanges. We know the developments with YouTube, and I believe it's going to break this previous channel. And once it does, there's not going to be much resistance holding BAT back. And we're already halfway through the channel. We're in an alt rally, right? It's actually above halfway through that channel. We're in an altcoin rally, and market sentiments towards alts. So BAT is a hold, guys. Keep on holding down to it. It's actually only pulling back to the 7-day moving average on a 1-day chart, and that's pretty bullish. Is it going to sustain that price? Well, the stochastic RSI somewhat agrees with it. Lower price, lower stochastic. So that is a good. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and take some token requests from you guys. Let me know what you want me to cover, and I will do that. Somebody ping zero. Tell them you're live. All right, so that's 3 requests. I'll go ahead and cover these 3, and then I'll come back and cover the rest. Guys, slow down. Come on, I usually take 3. You guys know the drill. It's not your first time. I'm gonna lose the tokens you're typing. I'm gonna miss them. So I'm gonna cover Litecoin. Let's start with Litecoin on a US dollar chart. We definitely see somewhat of a pennant developing. Stochastic agrees with what's going on. This is a 1-day chart. ADX level is coming down. That I don't like, but it's somewhat of a, it's still trying to form a pennant on a USD chart. But we do see lower highs and towards the end of it, a higher low. I'm put an Ichi cloud on here. And just a second. Ichi. Oh, I don't have my custom settings on here. Um, Go Litecoin BTC. It might be a little easier to take a look at. Cypher consensus on Litecoin would still be a hold. It hasn't done much. We see a lot of price constriction. If I was to put Bollinger Bands on it, they'd probably be really tight right now. Moving averages look bullish. We still see, an incoming crossover. We might see a spike from here. So I would say Litecoin is a hold. It's kept the same price in, during the dips and during the spikes. I agree with that. And I'd say that's a good thing because we're not seeing a sell off. We're not seeing a spike. There might be some type of accumulation happening there and keeping the price down. A lot of these coins right now are going to be very constricted. This is what I was talking about when we started PowerHour. I said that we're going to see very small price deviations. We're not going to see very many breakouts because we're in like another FUD era. BTC is making, it's at a low, and the market's got some uncertainty. So everything's trading like a really tight stochastic. You put on a 5-minute chart, you'd be able to track that stochastic like small day trades. But as far as swings, we're gonna see these price constrictions, and all of a sudden we're gonna wake up and there's gonna be a breakout of one of our coins. So I would definitely still hold Litecoin. Looking at Ven, so we see somewhat of a pullback on Ven. I'm gonna run a fib on here. That's not it. It's gonna be probably there. You do see continuation off the 50. Is that the 50? That is the 50. Off the 50, I see another bullish pennant developing. Stochastic agrees. There's not much of a sell-off. We see some positive buy volume. We see MAs converging upwards. It's a 15-minute chart. Can you guys send Tales of the Crypto a link? This is going to be our bullish pennant. I'm gonna turn off the volume indicator. So bar patterns tell us that Ven is still bullish, that we're gonna see another breakout on VEN. So it's a hold. Who was asking about it? Whoopty, are you still holding Ven? Yeah, it's a hold, so just hang on tight. All right, what's next? You got Neo. Neo's been on a raging bull run. Had been constricted and kind of pinned down for a while, but it broke out. It went, from that $30 range to Neo USD. Well, wrong exchange. Went from that $30-$45 range to 123. I would say Neo is still a hold. De Niro had a $200 plus target on Neo, so just hang on to your Neo. You're in the gains. We see somewhat of a bullish pennant developing too. I'm seeing a lot of pennants right now, and that is good. My mic volume is all the way up, Tales of the Crypto, so it's maybe you need new speakers. Yeah, so if you go in like your Windows settings, you should be able to do like an audio mixer or kind of mess with your sound controls. But so okay, speaking of Neo, back to the chart. It's looking bullish in the long term. It is looking bullish in the on an intraday level. I believe it's about to break out again. We see a lot of these pennants developing. If BTC stays in that nice range, it stays in a constricted range, and we see alt rally again, that's going to be a really good sign because during the China flood, it took a while for them to pick back up and rally. So if we can, and now that the Korean FUD's been confirmed as like they haven't drawn out the regulations for a full blown ban, right? Um, it's it's likely we're gonna see a rally. So hang on your alts. Ever since the Korea ban came out, the FUD came out, I didn't make one move. I haven't sold anything. I'm not gonna sell low. And I wouldn't recommend you guys sell low either. So, Paquette, Ben, I know you and I had a talk last night over the phone, and we discussed some of the coins like Lumen. I actually have notes on you. Lumen, Bat, Syscoin, Fun. Will signal. Just wait for a signal. Don't try to jump into these because we're making gains on them. Just wait for us to signal. right? Because we're getting a signal, and you want to get in early, and you want to reap the benefits of getting in early. You don't want to chase these, even though we have these high targets. But when we're already up hundreds of percentages, you don't want to just hop in last minute. All right, back to the next request. AMP. So I know I signaled AMP. I'm gonna go back to the AMP signal. Unless one of you guys want to pull up my signal price, the buy price I put up for AMP. I'll do it. Go through some of the signals over here. AMP 6K, target 186, target 2, 10.2, and then 11.2. So we signaled at 62. We're currently at 70. That's 70. Yep. And once again, you see somewhat another bullish pennant developing. And all these coins are in an uptrend, and as long as they're in an uptrend, we want to hang on to them. That can end up being a really massive pennant. So guys, just keep on hanging on to AMP. I believe Sita asked me about this. Let me go back. Sita, are you still holding AMP? Sita. All right, no comment. We'll keep moving. Power has been one of my longs, and it's actually moving back up. Yeah, awesome. Just hang on to AMP, guys. It's one of those low volume tokens, and it's still looking good. Almost every single one of our signals is developing a pennant, so hopefully we see a breakout, and we're all back at an all-time high after this FUD round. Nobody likes these FUD rounds, especially when it's international FUD and we can't really pinpoint what's going on over there. I wouldn't call this one a pennant yet, but it's in range. It's actually making higher lows, right? Actually, it is a pennant. We're still seeing higher lows and similar highs. It's going to be the definition of a pennant. As long as it doesn't turn into an upwards wedge or a rising wedge. So I'm expecting power to move up again. Somebody shared an article about power today just before me going live. I didn't have time to read it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Is there anything good that that article highlighted on power? We'll come back to that. We're burning precious time trying to answer questions. So, all right, let's keep moving. Digibyte. I didn't signal Digibyte. I will not signal Digibyte. I'll look at the chart for you. It's actually, well, it hasn't really moved up. Digibyte's one of those charts that I have, no faith in the project. That's why we don't really signal it. From like a support resistance standpoint, we're seeing lower highs and almost lower lows. I'd say it's in range at this point. It's in a range. Um, the highs are declining though. So let's look at it how it's performed before. It's done some of the same thing, then breaks down and only to break out to the next level. So it's one of those charts that I want to say is easily manipulated. Um, I'm just not a fan of the coin. I know some of you guys have been in since 500 sats, and you guys get really happy when it makes a gain. And if you're gonna be swinging this one, try to sell the top. Stochastic wise, we're at 0. Stochastic's really interesting. Well, there's not really much divergence, not yet. So I'd say Digibyte is still a hold. Who asked me about that? Brian, are you still holding Digibyte or are you trying to buy in? What did you get in at? We didn't signal it, so I guess you just want to chase the FOMO. You're in at 650. If you want to put a stop on it, just like to cover yourself, I mean 659 is your stop below this range. All right, next up, I'll go over fun. I signaled fun at 300 sats, right? And we had some targets on it. We already sold it and moved on. And ever since we sold it, it jumped up another leg up all the way to 1300. So if any of you guys were still holding fun, after I signaled, where's the 300 range? And you sold it at the top, you made 337%. If you're still holding, you'd be at 222, right? We swung it on the lower end targets and we sold it and just kept walking. And there's nothing wrong with that. But so Ben, I'm gonna run a fib on here from the last swing low before it traced back down to 0. And it's still holding above the 50. It seems like there's really strong support right there because you see these wicks, a lot of price rejection. Um, that is above the 50, so it's good. That's bullish. I know you like to buy and hold, Ben. Neil, I just covered Strat. I think I started with Strat. So with fun, I'd say it's still a hold, Ben. I know you like to buy your tokens and hold them for a long time. Neil, how about that? I'll go over Strat for you towards the end. And hey guys, BizWiz, I still haven't asked for more coins, so guys, please wait for me to ask you for coins, and then you can throw them my way. Um, you bet, Ben. So let's look at Verge, even though we still haven't signaled Verge. I see a pennant developing. We kind of tracking it last time when it broke the downtrend, right? But then I told Sneaker Boy, hey, let's wait and see what happens. Actually, my last line was up here. Let's wait for it to open above here on like a 12-hour or a 1 day. Let's look at the 12-hour. And that's price rejection, right? It's still getting rejected. It did make somewhat of a higher high, but I mean, it's a cheap coin with a strong community of followers, right? But if we look at the style of this pennant, um, it's not the most bullish. It's not really an upwards triangle. Now it can break either way, but it seems like there's a little bit more selling pressure for Verge to break down. Um, Stochastic somewhat confirms that because I'm gonna switch colors on my lines. So here we see a lower high, right? But the stochastic's showing a higher high. So if I was in Verge, this would be my early sign of saying I need to exit Verge. All right, guys, give me 3 more tokens. 3 tokens. One more. And then I'll ask for another round, right? So let's just stick to 3. So we have XRB, OMG, XCP. All right, that's good. And then I'll cover, I'll ask for more requests. XCP. It's a 12-hour chart. What time frame are you seeing that cup and handle on, Sneaker Boy? On the 1 day, like on like a really long term cup and handle. Ah, this one. I wouldn't quite count that as a CNH because it's not at the top. If anything, this looks like it's in range, right? So we're looking at a 1 day chart and we see a token that is somewhat in range. We've got similar highs and similar lows. But if you really look at it and focus on it, we're somewhat of in a downtrend. We've got lower highs and lower lows. So this isn't something I would quite signal or buy into right now. A good time to buy into something like this would be at the bottom of the range. So you want to wait till like a coin that's moving in a downwards channel like that to hit the bottom of the range to pick it up for continuation. It seems to have volatile swings on a daily chart. Let me measure them real quick. It made 43% in 1 day. It's like the longest 1 day candle. So it's a volatile one, but it's not. This is not a place where you want to pick it up right now. I do see a lot of accumulation happening, and the 1 day ADX is really high. It is at 57, and it really seems to break down from this point. Go ahead and do an ADX line. So historically speaking, it's broken down from this level almost every time, right? So it's something you wanna be away. I wouldn't call this a buy, Sneaker Boy. OMG, I signaled OMG the other day. This is one of our long plays, one of De Niro's longs as well. And it was looking really bullish, and I believe it still is. OMG is one of those charts that'll oscillate quite a bit on like a 20, 30%, 40% even fluctuations within a range, and then it breaks out again. We see that previously. We see it here as well. But where it's currently at, it's at this previous resistance level. I do have this is a long. When I signaled it, I mentioned guys it's going to be a long hold because you've got some really big targets for OMG. So if we look at it compared to its previous run, last time it stayed in this range for quite some time, some 22 days or so, and we've only been in this range for about 5 days. It's not very indicative of what's really going to happen, but the ADX on it is at 27, so it's really young in this uptrend. And last time it was there, it was almost out of gas. So OMG is a hold. And if you see it dip on like a BTC surge or an Ether surge, buy back in or accumulate to that position. It's in an uptrend. There's no denying that, and it's gonna make a new high. It's just a matter of time. XRB. What exchange is XRB on, T-Mac? I'm gonna jump right over to Edgeless. So we know Edgeless Casino opens their doors very soon. They had the pre-registration get started early this week, I believe. I see somewhat of two failed pennants, and this third pennant should be a monster, right? Or this breakout should be a monster. Here's the first pennant, broke up, BTC all-time high, or a BTC dump, and it just tanked with it. And now we see it setting up for another one. If you guys are still holding edge from the first signal, hang on tight. We see these wicks right here, and we see somewhat of a price rejection. That tells me somebody's accumulating at this level and keeping edge from breaking out. So if you have free BTC and you want to put them somewhere, EDG is a good token, especially because they're online casino. They got their licenses in December. They're doing the launch this month, and we're actually going to get some usage out of this coin. Last time, I was trading Edge, on its last run up when it really took off before the license FUD came out. I made, over, a couple 100% in a matter of 12 days. But if you look here on like the accumulation distribution, all that got sold off. Everybody that was betting on it kind of exited that trade. And now people are going to buy this token and use it in the casino. So I still think Edge is a good buy. And seeing these two double pennants like back to back, I like that. My screen is looking live. I am. I know. I don't know why these guys are frozen. So I'm not on Bitcoin. I don't have access to that chart right now. I'd recommend you always have spare BTC on a treasury somewhere, even on an exchange, so you can always make some moves. What you can do if you wanna buy into something that I just talked about, you could always what you can always do is you can take one of the positions that you're in. So if you bought Strat with us at 50 and now it's at 130, what you can do is profit take a little and put it in edge if that's what you're looking to do. All right, guys, give me we've got about 15 more minutes. Give me a couple more tokens. So BNB is still in its bull run, right? And this is a long. I'm just gonna say hold. There's no reason to sell. There's no convergence. It's still looking good on a 1 day, especially compared to BTC on a US dollar chart. We see a cup and somewhat of a cup, no handle on a 1 day. Let me go to 12 hour. I think it's just a cup, right? But it's still making higher highs, higher lows. Make sure we don't see a rising wedge, and we do not see a rising wedge. So I'd say BNB is still a hold. especially if it's gonna earn you rewards from staking it. MCO, Monaco, I signaled Monaco. And De Niro actually pinged me on MCO today. We saw somewhat of another pennant developing. MCO is still a hold. What we saw on MCO a while back, it's put on a 1-day chart. We still see this. We saw this massive like double pennant, just like what we saw on Edge, a breakout, and then flatten back out. But that doesn't mean it's not a bull. If anything, this could be a bull flag that was accentuated by the market conditions. Don't quote me on that bull flag. I don't like it a lot, but I believe it's still bullish. Stochastic hasn't really switched gears yet, right? It's still confirming what the chart says and does. So I would. It's actually looking better because we've got somewhat of an oversold momentum here on the stochastic, but on the last low that was lower than that was actually higher. So MCO is bullish, guys. MCO is a hold. EOS. Man, these Binance coins are just on a run. I want to see BAT move up like this on Binance. Whoopty, two things. Are you holding? Oh, sorry, who was it? Wildman. Are you holding EOS? Are you holding EOS? You are. What did you get in at? Oh, awesome. So at this point, you turn it into a long, right? You're up some massive percentages. We see somewhat of a pullback developing. I'm gonna tell you where it would turn bearish based on this trend. You see a pullback. We'll use this swing low. So it's at a 23% retracement right now. If you guys are looking to add, don't add over here, right? We want to see it drop down to the 50% fib. We want to see it hit a 61.8 fib, right, for a buyback. So, Wildman, if you're holding this for a long, you can set your stop at 37.31 and protect your gains. If it's still bullish, it shouldn't dip back down below that level, no matter what. All right, guys, 11 minutes. Give me 2 more tokens. 2 more. Laza, is that news or is that so that TRX is that actual news or is it on a calendar? Did they announce who the partner is or did they announce who the partner is in 2 days? I want to know what you're seeing on Tron. Seen it on Twitter and CoinMarketCap. Not yet. Are you holding Tron? Looks like Tron's at a retracement level right now. It might be a buy. The retracement for the news, sell the news. We'll go with this wick. 2 hour. I see some price constrictions. So like if we were to throw some Bollinger Bands on here, it'd be real tight for, a break either up or down. I see somewhat of a pennant. And I want to say, I don't know if it's neutral or bullish. Let's stick to wicks on this one. So if you're going to draw a pennant just based on the wicks, And let's do the top of the pennant. It's almost a neutral pennant. Are you looking? You seen it on Twitter? No announcement as of yet. Picked some back at 4 cents. I'll hold. Yeah, just at that point, at this point, just hold it. If you want to put a stop loss to keep you in the profits, you can put it at like the 61.8 over here. But I'd say keep. Well, no, no. There we go. That's gonna fix my fib. So it is at a 61.8 level as of now. Um, Little sketchy territory there. What is it at now, US dollar value? $11. Okay, so you're gravy, man. Just hold that. Just keep it as a hold. You can put a stop at like 9 cents. It shouldn't dip much more than that. All right, let's cover ETC Ethereum Classic. Cypher, I like this chart, but I don't like it as much as I like our Zeke chart, right? Zeke's looking so much more bullish. Um, Let me put it on an Ether chart. Let me go switch exchanges first. Let's go to Bittrex. So Ether Classic versus Ether. I don't like it just yet. It's actually trying to break out of this downtrend. We don't have confirmation yet. The reason I'm looking at it here is because on a BTC chart, it somewhat looks like it's in a range, right? So we've got similar lows. Let's define our range. A range is 3 or more touches of support and resistance. Might end up being a pennant. Not quite. Let me go to a 1-day chart. Look at the stupid volume indicator. I'd say hold on to it because it was trying to break out before BTC's all-time high and it kind of got set back. So we're gonna see it. It's actually making higher highs and higher lows. It's in a range on the daily, but it's still above the previous range. So it's in like a pre-breakout mode on a 1-day chart. So we could see it go back to the 31,319 range. Yeah, exactly. So every time BTC pulls back, or every time BTC pulls back, ETC goes up. So I'd say hold it. Are you in Cypher or are you trying to add? Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to today's Power Hour. This is a little different setup. Let us know how you like this setup versus how we were doing them in the past. Um, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. I'm gonna put up some like fib videos and several indicator videos on there. Um, Thanks for being patient with us. Thanks for being patient with the market. Yeah, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim this up a little bit on YouTube, and then I'll publish it unlisted, and then maybe like in a week we can release it for other people to watch and non-subscribers. Um, Good job, guys. Way to hold through the FUD, right? We showed some strong hands, no emotions. We've been in this market for a while. We've seen BTC go through these cycles over and over and over again. And doesn't break 61.8, we're not even sketched out, right? We're going to hold, we're going to stick to our strong analysis. Um, Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the chat. You bet, Ben. Thanks for joining. Finally. All right, guys. I'll catch you in the chat. I'm out of here.